Lori Vallow was a big no-show to her court date, which isn't that surprising, but we're going to talk about that, the other updates going on in that case as of recent, in today's video. Hello, Sofa Squad, and welcome back to the sofa. Sofa's back there. I'm right here. The boys, Bo and Luke, are right next to me. If you are new to the channel, I do welcome you. Like I said, my name's Paul. If you are not new to the channel, I still welcome you, and well, my name is still Paul. Now today we are going to be talking about the Lori Vallow Daybell case. This is going to be kind of a quick video. We're just going to do a couple of updates. If you followed my channel for a while, then you know we followed this case, Chad Daybell, that whole thing for years at this point, right? Now, Lori is at this point up for another trial, another case. We'll get into it in a second. And there's been a couple of updates with that. So the way this will work is I'm going to go over like a 60-second review of kind of like what this stuff is for people who are just completely new to this. Then I'm going to go over just some of those updates, and we're going to look at a few news clips and like court appearances, stuff like that, and talk about them. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, quick disclaimer before we get started. I'm not a cop. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a therapist. I ain't none of that fancy credential stuff. All right. I'm just a guy with a sofa, some sass, and some of my own self-diagnosed personality disorder. Okay, so that being said, these are just my opinions. Please consult the experts with the fancy credentials if you want that kind of a vibe. These are just my opinions on very public information, so just do your own research, come up to your own conclusions, and like I said, consult the fancy credentials when needed, okay? Let's go ahead and dive on in. Now, like I said, this case deals with Lori Vallow Daybell. Let's very quickly talk about how we arrived at this case, at this video. So, Lori Vallow Daybell, she was married to a man named Charles Vallow. Now, Lori would begin a tumultuous relationship with another man by the name of Chad Daybell. This is where lives will become unraveled and destroyed, including her own children, including Chad's late wife, you name it, nothing was off limits. So on July 11th, 2019, Charles arrived to take his son, JJ Vallow, to school. Now, present at the house were Lori, her brother Alex Cox, we'll be talking about him, and her daughter Tylee. There's a confrontation. It results in Charles being fatally shot. Now, Lori leaves the scene. She doesn't call 911. She takes the kids. She gets chicken nuggets. She takes JJ to school. She gets flip-flops. She does all this crazy stuff, right? Now, like I said, she doesn't call 911, but Alex later, much later, would call 911 after no attempts to save Charles's life, obviously, right? Now, cops would arrive, and Alex would tell them, and ambulance people, all those people arrive, right? Alex would tell them, hey, this was self-defense. He attacked me. I had to do what I had to do. Look at this little bump on the back of my head. It was from a baseball bat. Owie, owie. I had to pull my gun, and now here we are. There is body cam footage of this. I've done many videos on it in the past. Lori's giggling when she shows up and laughing, and she is more than happy that this has taken place, right? And for whatever reason, there was really no investigation there on out. So remember this, Lori has been convicted in the unaliving and the taking the lives of her children, JJ and Tylee, as well as Chad's late wife, Tammy. That's where we arrived today. What is she in Arizona for? She was convicted. Now she's been shipped to Arizona. She's been there for a minute. She is there to stand trial against charges of Charles Vallow as well as Brandon Boudreaux. Who is Brandon Boudreaux? Brandon Boudreaux. I know way too much about this whole family, right? Brandon Boudreaux luckily survived his encounter with this crowd, with this family, but he was the husband to Lori's niece, Melanie, now Pulowski, was Melanie Boudreaux. Got it? Brandon came home, got out of his car, somebody took a shot at him, right? Jeep speeds off. Now, it is alleged it was probably Alex Cox that did this. One of the things of this case is that's very intricate, very complicated, is how involved many people were. So somehow Alex and them got the address of where Brandon was at, but nobody really should have known this. It ultimately would have come from Melanie. There's lots of footage out there of her encounters of trying to, get their kids back from his parents and just crazy stuff, okay? We're not going to go into a deep dive on that, but just know that these are the charges that Lori stands up against. Conspiracy to murder and things of this nature, okay? So that's what's going on. Now, also, Lori, if you follow the original case, you'll know there's a whole question of, sanity, things of this nature. So Lori has gone back and forth, almost like a book from Sarah Boone's page, right? Okay, I don't want this lawyer. Okay, well, now I want to represent myself. Okay, well, I don't want Rule 11. I don't want to be in a competency hearing. You name it, right? And that's going to kind of draw us into some of these recent updates that I want to start talking about and going over. Now, one thing, if you are new to this this case, you're like, God, this sounds really wild. I just started following Paul through Sarah Boone. What is this case about? A couple of people you're going to want to follow here on the YouTubes. So one person you want to check out is Colby Ryan. This is Lori's son. He has his own podcast on here. He recently did a video. If you've been following me for a minute, I did like a reaction video or my thoughts on his video where he interviews Lori from prison. And Lori kind of is like, well, this is what really happened, right? And had us all in a fluster. And very brave young man asking his mother. I mean, this is his mother, right? It's like he's asking her these hard questions, coming to these hard realizations, and he's standing his truth. And he's like, look, this is this. You know, it gives me goosebumps. I really admire that. Now, another person too that you're going to want to follow is Cresha Easton. Cresha is the kid's aunt. She is, and let me get all my stuff straight here, Larry and Kay Woodcock's daughter, okay? Charles's niece. All the ties get my brain going, right? But she has her own channel here. It's called Difficult Research. She's been following this case in depth. There's other channels I know as well. I believe Annie Cushing has a channel on here. She's related to one of the victims in here. There might be other people. I'm sorry if they're not coming to my mind here, but definitely check them out. They have some awesome content on here. Now also Kay and Larry Woodcock. I don't know if they have a YouTube channel, but I know that like Kay's active. You can see her like responding to stuff in comments and on Cresha's channel and things like that. For those who are new to the case, Kay and Larry Woodcock, this was JJ's biological grandparents, right? They are basically the sounding board, in my opinion, for the first thing that was like setting off to authorities. Like the first voice that wasn't going to back down of like, hold on, something's not right here. We usually talk to JJ. Last time we talked to him, it was very weird. It was very cryptic. He was clearly, you know, what's up with this, and we can't get a hold of him. We need people to go check where are the kids, right? Okay, so they were the sounding board and getting this really going. It gives me goosebumps, and have been a voice for not only the victims in general, right? I really admire when I say what they've been thrust into. Nobody asked to be in this position that they're in, right? Like Colby or anyone who's related to crimes like this. You know, people who, the victims of the crimes and whatnot. And so the way that they've like really had to go through this, I mean, they're at a stage in life where, I mean, they were grandparents, right? And so being able to stand up and like go to these court hearings and do this and do that. We'll talk about some of this a little bit when we look at some of the footage of Lori in court, her behavior in court. I mean, Kay and Larry were there through all these trials. I mean, my hat's off to them, right? So it's a tragic case. Now, again, this is all getting dredged up again because there's more charges, right? This will go on for years and years. So let's go ahead and get into some of those updates. So like I said, some of the headlines coming out of this case recently have just been a little bit crazy. It's almost like Lori took a page out of Sarah Boone's book, okay? The stall in the court system. If you followed the original trials, you already know this went on for years, right? And it's a very complicated case. This isn't to give her total credit for being like, oh yeah, she's been able to manipulate the system. She's good at it, but also incredibly complicated case, right? So she was supposed to show up to court, like I said, she didn't do this. Keep in mind there's two court things going on right now, okay? We have competency and we have criminal, right? So she's kind of been thrust in this competency type thing. Now she refused to show up for court or whatever. Obviously, you know what that's going to do is going to stall things. And like just a week before, she was talking about, I'm going to represent myself and blah, 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 blah. So again, it's almost like a Sarah Boone thing where we're like, you know, here we go. How long is this going to take? Now, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and let's get into some of those clips, okay? Let's hear what's being said in the courtroom, what's being done. Now, before we jump into these clips, a couple of people that you're going to want to follow, news reporters, is going to be Justin Lum and Nate Eaton. Nate Eaton is with East Idaho News. Justin Lum, I believe, is with Fox now. And they've been from the very beginning, okay, very beginning of this case. So if you are interested in learning about this case, you're going to want to go back and look at like all these interviews they did from the very beginning of this, okay? They're both very amazing reporters, very awesome guys. So let's go ahead and get into these. And the first thing we're going to watch is the state talking. Now, remember, this is in the courtroom. This is for the competency stuff. So let's hear what the state is saying, and then we'll go from there.
Well, we were hoping that the defendant would be present today so that she could be admonished by the court that the most expedient way to get out of Rule 11 is to cooperate with the Rule 11 doctors. I'm not sure that it's appropriate for defense counsel to advise the defendant to not cooperate, but that's where we are.
Now, you can hear they're a little bit frustrated with this whole scenario. Now, keep in mind, when Lori does actually show up to court, she's known for her demeanor, okay? Let's just take a quick look at one of her appearances, not in this specific courtroom here, but one of her appearances that she did for this case here in Arizona. Now, you see her, she's just laughing, she's giddy, she's just hello, all smiles. Now, this is where earlier when I was like, oh, we'll talk about some of these, you know, her demeanor and whatnot in the courtroom. This is kind of how she's been. She's just has this very nonchalant, like, take the temperature girl kind of thing. And this is going to also circle back to some of my admiration for Kate and Larry. So in the very beginnings of this, right, when nobody knew the extent of what happened, and Lori was summoned, like, it was like, where are the kids, whatever. So they finally, like, we're going to Hawaii to get you, that kind of thing. One of those first appearances in court, you see Kay, you see Lori walk out. So the first time really, like, to at least for me, like the public, right, is seeing this, and it's like Lori has this smirk on her face toward Kay. And again, I wasn't there, I don't know the family, whatever, right? So this is just me, like, my opinion on how I saw it. Lori has like this smirk on her face towards Kay, almost like, this is how I read into it, like, I got you. Like, I got you. And the fact, it gives me goosebumps, okay? This is like one of the imprinted things in my mind on this. And the fact that Kay was like, able to just sit there and, like, I mean, you could see, like, you could feel the energy coming off Kay, the hurt, the rage, the questioning, because at this time we didn't know, right? At this point in time, I'll go off on a little tangent here. Like, I can remember having conversations with people and it was like, oh, this is some weird cult. She's hiding them in the cult somewhere, whatever. We had, I mean, we were right about the cult, right? But we had no idea the extent of what had taken place, right? So I always go back to that. That's just seared in my brain, that moment of her coming in and looking at Kay. Now, I'm sure Kay's maybe spoken to this or whatever, since it's such like a pivotal, like, you know, scene in this case. I can't remember that, but I would love to know, especially if you've heard her talk, whatever, in the comment section. Did she speak to this part? Was Lori really looking at her? Like, did she read into it that way? Because that's how it appeared to me, right? So anyways, let's go back to the current courtroom. Let's go back to her current defense and let's hear what they have to say about her not being there in the courtroom.
As far as having Ms. Vallow not speak, that was a decision based on the fact that we wanted to withdraw the Rule 11 motion. We did not want to be in Rule 11 court because we just didn't think it was appropriate at that time. Right. Otherwise, I think this is just a completely unique case.
Yeah, you cannot say that again. Now, a doctor wants to do another evaluation to get more information to really render this opinion. You know, when you're dealing with these, you're dealing with multiple doctors, multiple opinions having to come back. We just lived through this with Sarah Boone, right? So obviously, you know, in this scenario, well, you can't do that if you're not going to cooperate, right? So that's the whole standstill with this. If she's just wanted to be like, I don't want any of this, I just want to go represent myself, I just want to go ahead, okay, great. But as you heard the state say, like, the best way to do this is just to cooperate and get done with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's that bit, just be done with it. So, and I would tend to agree, again, from a non-professional opinion. Now, all that being said, let's hear what the judge had to say.
Just from an ethical standpoint, she doesn't have enough information to just render an opinion. And so I don't want to force her to make an opinion when she's not in a position to do that. And she needs more information, which she hopes to get in attempting to meet with the defendant next week. Unfortunately, Ms. Vallow not speaking with the mental health experts is causing some delay.
Now, per Justin Lum, he says that Dr. Hernandez has till December 2nd to get these findings, report them and whatnot. And then December 5th is the next competency hearing. Now, the trial was scheduled for February of 2025. So we'll see, right? So those are the main updates here that I wanted to go over. A lot of people have asked me about this. I think the last thing I did on this case was talking about Colby's video or whatever. Again, I implore you, check out Colby, check out Kresha, and check their channels out. If you're new to this, if you're not new to it, if you know the case, you probably already follow them, right? So there you go. This will be a long road to justice, you know, and again, I just want to like give a shout out to the people that, you know, and admiration and whatnot, to these people that we see. And by these people, I mean the survivors of the victims, the families and people like this, the tons of victims that these cases touch, and their ability to put their head down and be able to sleep and get up and fight the battle again the next day, right? It gives me goosebumps. I cannot imagine, and I find it very admirable that they are able to do this and go through what they have gone through and just persevere. So my hat's off to them. And then obviously the victims. This is such a tragic case. It really bothers me to my soul. All these cases that we talk about bother me. I know a lot of these cases we'll talk about, we kind of will focus in on the absurd and the things like that, and they're trust me, this case has the absurd, okay? If you're looking for absurd, it's in this case. In some of the interviews in the books, if you follow me for my readings of Loinfire, I mean, it's there, right? But at the center of it is loss, is tragedy. And this case specifically really bothered me because I just, again, remember this happening and thinking, you know, oh, they're being hidden in some coal, you know, whatever. Never in a million years did I ever dream of what ended up happening to not just JJ, not just Tylee, but everybody in this case, all these other things that we're seeing. You know, and this is absolutely for no reason. Not that there's a reason ever good enough to do what would happen to these babies, to these people, right? So there's that. Yes, we will be following this case 100%. I'm not sure if they're going to televise the trial or not. I can't remember. Like Arizona's very different, but we'll see. Obviously, we'll be following it and we'll pray for justice. Again, yeah. Now this one could be tricky for the evidence and whatnot, right? That's one of the things that's very difficult about this, especially with Lori, is the lack of, it's all very conspiracy, right? And especially like with Brandon, it's like conspiracy to commit murder, you know, conspiracy, this kind of thing. She didn't have her hands dirty per se in a lot of this, so it makes it very tricky. So we'll see, we'll follow it. So anyways, that's it. Let me know what you think down in the comment section if you're still watching. If you're still watching, hey, I appreciate you hanging out with me for a few minutes. I know this is a little bit of a shorter video, so I apologize, but a lot of people have emailed me asking me about this, so I was like, let it go take a look at it now. So that's it. If you could, drop some sofas off in the comment section for myself, Roscoe and Spirit, Bo and Luke, who are sleeping at my feet now. And until Bo, Luke, Roscoe and Spirit, myself, we all gather the sofa squad up and head down to the comment section to hang out on those sofas that you just dropped. We'll see y'all soon. I just wanted to say thank you again for watching the whole video, and also thank you for being part of the Sofa Squad. Special thanks to all the Patreon members, channel members from both of my channels, everybody who likes, shares, subscribes, comments in the comment sections. It helps the channel out so much. Now don't forget, I do have that other channel, the podcast channel. That's where we go live, we hang out, we talk. We have kind of sort of a schedule, but just be sure and check it out. I'll put it up here on the screen. Also, if you're looking for merch, be sure to check out my Teespring store. I'll put that up here. And then, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to follow me and Roscoe on the Instagram, go on, check it out. It's right here on the screen again. But once again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being part of the Sofa Squad, and I'll see you in the next video.